Alrighty, I think we are, yep, we're up kind of thing. So we are good, my friend. Okay, it is Sunday morning, Jerry. Thank you. Sorry, Dr. Jerry. Look at that. I'm gonna have to call you your formal name now. Use your title. I'm only kidding. So Jerry, you and I have talked about doing this forever, kind of thing, for about, what did we say, about a year and a half at least, kind of thing. So through all this change, we have finally come together. And we are going to have the discussion we've always been, that we talk about all the time when I see you. So I'm thrilled that this totally worked out in our favor. And we got together today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
Yes, thank you. So you know what? I know you because I've known you for years. But how about, you know what? Why don't you actually introduce yourself? And so people that have joined us know who you are.
Well, I basically am trained as a chiropractor, but what I want to do is be more holistic, if you will. I don't know if I like that word, but basically trying to help people understand that health doesn't happen in isolation, and illness doesn't happen in isolation. It's what we do with our lifestyle as well. So, you know, we do acute care with patients, but we try to help them to understand how to be well long term and what are the basic requirements to achieve health, as opposed to just waiting till our health is gone. And unfortunately, what happens is we normalize poor health in our society. So what we want to do is get people to actually be aware of how to create health, how to be well, especially in these tremendously difficult times.
Yeah.
What we can do, how do we approach that? So I've been in this for a long time, and I noticed that the people who actually take charge of their health proactively get great results, age well, have a lot of energy, enjoy their aging process, enjoy the different generations of their family. So what we have to do is be more proactive, because we're seeing, especially right now with what's going on in the world,
Yeah.
the people who are doing the best are the people who are healthy. So it's not just a matter of looking good or feeling good, or you know, trying to just avoid anything. The people who are healthy are surviving. The people who are well are doing well. The people who are not, unfortunately, are having a much more difficult time right now. So we really need to get the wake-up call to become more healthier right now, so that we can live longer, be healthier, and really, really, really enjoy what life can bring to us. So yeah, I really want to make the awareness, or the wake-up call, that being pain-free is great. We want to do that. But
Agreed.
the healthier you are, the better chance, not just of being good, but of survival. And that's what's
Right.
happening. That's what's coming out of this whole crisis. The healthier people are recovering. Unfortunately, people who are not are having a difficult time. And most of those factors are within our control. And that's what I talk about. So I don't know, that was a rant, but
well, would you, no, but you know what, but no, but that's, you just kind of, you totally summarized that up. That's awesome. Right. And that's exactly it. But we were talking earlier, is the biggest thing is, we know that as times are changing and we're now more isolated. So we've got mental health issues because of the whole isolation kind of thing. So, and then we've also got the physical health, because people aren't active because you're told to stay home. So then the other flip side is that because we're home, is that people are now doing their like creating new exercise routines and potentially getting hurt kind of thing. Because we were talking about that, like, what's the biggest thing that we can do kind of thing while we're here to keep active and keep mobile without becoming, you know, the next fitness star.
Yeah, well, actually, well, that's the whole thing. It's a stress response that we have in our body that actually wears us out.
Yeah.
When we're worried, when we're concerned, when we're shut in, when we have uncertainty, we start to have poor sleep. We get headaches. We have aches and pains. We get depressed. It's a difficult time. So what happens is that leads us to indulge in unhealthy activities. We smoking, excessive drinking. We're trying to get some relief from the pain that we're going through. We like to eat. We're going to the fridge. We're struggling, and those things are creating that stress response in our body. So what we have to do is try to recognize, what can we do to deal with those uncomfortable feelings that are in our bodies. So one of the key things is to actually stick with some kind of a routine, in the sense of, we tend to stay up too late. And when we stay up late, our bodies break down. And then the next day we're more tired, then we're hungry, and we get into a whole cycle. So we want to stick to a routine where we want to actually get to sleep at a decent time. Staying up late is one of the worst things for stress, mental breakdown, depression, lack of energy. We get hungry. So you want to get on a routine where you get to bed at a decent time. We recommend people try to get to sleep between 10 and 11 o'clock at night, and then get up in the morning. I know Netflix is appealing, and it's we're stressing, but those are not the constructive way to do that. So get to bed at a normal time. Get up in the morning and actually get out of your jammies before noon and dress up. It's kind of neat. If you have a routine where you feel alive and you feel functional, you can get outside and go for a walk every day for 30 minutes if you don't get arrested in your neighborhood. So do that one.
So how sad is that?
Outside
I
and
know.
walk.
I know. It's true though. Yep.
You know, so you got to move. You got to do those things. Especially even with children, it's so important. They're feeling this stress more so than a lot of times the adults, because their whole routine, their whole social network has been disrupted. You need to spend time with them. You need to talk with them. You need to, have special moments and let them know that, you're afraid and they're afraid and there's a struggle, but having those open conversations are really, really important. And what you want to do is, if you can get your normal sleep patterns, most of us we're coffeeed out. We don't drink enough water. One of the biggest things for your health and for brain capacity, just drinking enough water. So you want to make sure that you're getting into that. Regular routines, talking about these things are so important. And we have a strategy that we try to teach people. When you're having that stress response, you want to be able to try to manage that on your own terms. So with a regular routine, which we might get into a little bit later, I can outline, it's kind of over here in my strategic marketing. There are very, very specific ways to reduce and modify that stress response so that your body can thrive and not break down and not be more unhealthy. And our emotions get so far out there. You can tell people get a little bit afraid this time when these things are going on, and it can get a little bit much. So reaching out to people, spending time, like FaceTime has just saved the world right now. It's just such a great.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I used to always say technology is a blessing and a curse, right? So as much as we all get sucked into it kind of thing, it's actually become our lifeline kind of thing to chat with people. Well, look what we're doing today. We're doing the same thing, right? So there is definitely a time and a place for it, that's for sure. But I find, like, as you're talking about the kids, my kids they're doing the staying up late because all their friends are, and they're sleeping till noon, and they're hibernating in their bedrooms and such, right? And it's like you try to get them out, but it's a task. It's a chore.
It's really, really difficult too, and especially with my mom and dad, they're isolated, so we got to contact with those guys and talk to them and FaceTime them, because at least I have people around me right now, but a lot of people are alone, and it's a tragic time, and loneliness is bad enough at the worst of times, but when nobody shows up and nobody can show up, that's really, really, really difficult. It's a crazy thing.
So I agree with you the morning routines. Like thankfully I've worked from home for like 10, 12 years. So I've got a routine going anyhow. So thankfully, because I would potentially pop out to go see clients before I had my office. So when I was working at home, so I always got up and got dressed as if the day was happening anyhow. So I find that's a big mindset shift, because the days that I get up and I just kind of throw on the comfies, you're not as productive. I get out of the jammies most times kind of thing. But the days that you don't, like, you just don't feel like I feel like you have to live into the day. It's crazy. But I'm fortunate to work from home. Not everybody is, right? Because so now a lot of people have transitioned to home, but what about the ones that haven't? And then they've been laid off after so many years, and they don't know what to do to start their day. Like you and I have talked about, what's the first thing you do when you get out of bed? What do we do?
First thing you want to do when you get out of bed is have some kind of a self-talk, or some kind of a way to start off. Like I feel kind of silly, but I mentioned this before. Like, first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I say, today is going to be a great day, no matter how I feel. Most days I feel good.
It's mindset.
But you got to have that gratitude or that mindset right off the bat. That self-care is so important, that you have an approach, and you have to look at what is going well in your life. When I was like to think, the first, I had 2 gifts this morning. I opened my eyes, and I'm able to get at another day. And so I want to get up in the morning and say, today's going to be a great day. Have some gratitude. I spend some time. I do different breathing techniques or waking up techniques. I get up and I do an exercise routine in the morning, regardless of how I feel, because it just wakes your body up. It's just physiology. Like, our mood can be all over the place. We can have a thought. We can be overwhelmed, but if you get up and move your body, it changes your brain, it changes your physical chemistry, and you get moving. So the first thing in the morning is to get up, be thankful, start moving, get water. I drink a liter of water first thing in the morning and get that through me. And so dehydration is one of the worst things for your emotions, for your body, for your energy level. So hydration is absolutely critical. So when people get up in the morning and they have have some water, start to do some movement, have to do some mindfulness, some thinking, gratitude. Some people have a vision board, whatever it is. It used to sound when I was younger, that was kind of, that's kind of hokey. What are you doing? You're just
Right, exactly.
But really, when you have a plan and you stick to that plan, it becomes like a snowball in a really, really good way. You start to look forward to the morning, and sometimes, you wake up and you're not that perky, and then you start to move around. You're planning your day, you're organized, you're drinking your water, you're doing some movement. Before you know it, your body kicks in at any age. We find this with patients of all ages, whether they're teenagers or some of our seniors who've got them doing this. And that self-care is so, so critical.
Huge. Yeah, it's the mindset as well, right? It's moving you forward. Now, I know the one thing a lot of people do, and I know you do it as well, is you put your shoes on, kind of thing, because you've got. Or I know that sounds crazy, but I do the same though, because people don't realize in the house. Kind of, it was years ago. My family doctor told me is that what we always wear shoes when we go outside, right? So like the orthotic shoes or whatever, but inside is just as critical. So we're walking on hardwood floors and we're walking on ceramics and such. So you have to wear the same shoes inside or outside, like the orthotics, right? Because it also helps your body.
It's amazing how much that does. My grandson just turned 3 last week, and that's the first thing in the morning. He says, "Here, Papa Jay, here's your shoes. Let's go downstairs and do exercise."
See, look at that. You've already started at 3. That's amazing, right? That's a basic, simple thing, but look what you're teaching him already.
Yeah, he loves it too. He gets in and does his exercise, wiggles on the ball, and about halfway through, he starts watching Treehouse. But I mean, it's just the same.
It's his age. It's all good, right? Yeah.
It is. It's really good, and he's addicted to it, and he likes it, and it's a great way to start your day. And you don't, like we said earlier, you don't have to be an Olympian. You don't have to try to show off, but just getting your body moving changes your physiology. It changes your mood. And it really improves your health and improves your resilience to disease or illness. And that's really what we really want to stress, is that being healthier gives you a better chance to survive. And that's not just, looking good. It's really, really thriving and enjoying your life. So movement is fantastic.
Absolutely. And then we go to the mind, the mind, right? Like we were talking about positive affirmations and such. The big thing I find right now is people are coming into financial worries and financial stress, and it's people that have never been there. So there's a huge energetic shift within them because they don't know how to handle this emotion, because it's people that have gone from abundance to now potentially lack, kind of thing, which is a huge mind shift kind of thing. And it can take people to some scary places, right? Kind of thing. So, which is, it's disheartening. Like it's worrisome to me, kind of thing. So it's like, okay, how do we shift out of that in terms of the mindset? And I think a lot of it is like you were saying, it's getting moving, which will keep so you're not stuck in your head. It's going that way. But it's also, I'm a big believer in journaling, kind of thing. And I'm also meditation. Kind of thing. Meditation kind of thing. I know we're talking chiropractic, but I think it's the same. It's all wrapped into one, right? But meditation, it slows the brain, and most people say, I don't know how to do it. And that's the beauty of our technology. Again, we've got the apps. Like I use what's my Insight Timer. It's got over 5,000 meditations, and there's even courses, and they're all free. And it's also, there's one that teaches you how to meditate. It's a 7-day course. And I think that is the biggest mind shift, kind of thing, to get us out of a place of fear, because then the fear means you're now not sleeping, which we know you need. And what was the hours in the middle of the night? You said that's where the growth hormone is.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're asleep between 12 and 2 a.m., your body will release growth hormone. But if you're staying up late and sleeping 8 or 10 hours after, your body just doesn't release it. So you get weaker day by day by day if you're not doing that. I have my app upstairs. It's a little headband that goes around your head, and it actually teaches you how to do meditation and how to react to your brain waves. It's called a Muse, M-U-S-E. And so it's something that I'll use. It's a 10, 12-minute thing you can do. There's another one called Heart Math. You could do prayer, you can do breathing technique, sound techniques, mindfulness. All those things are really, really critical. It doesn't change the fact that we are in a crisis, but it changes your physiological response and how your body can then deal with and start to think clearly. The problems are still going to be there. You just want to be able to approach them and deal with them in a more concentrated way. Even if it's sort of out of your control, you want your body and your physiology to be healthy so that when this stops, you're ready to go. You're not broken down. There's also things like yoga, gratitude practicing, journaling. Like you say, I started doing that again. Time
Yep.
in nature, get outside. Um,
If you're allowed, but now they've, see, that's the biggest issue, right? Because I was like, oh, I would even go take Lucy, take the puppy for a walk down by the water. And actually, I drove to Burlington the other night, and I came along Lakeshore on the way home. It's all closed off,
I
and I
know.
was just like, to actually, I heard it, but I forgot. But to see it, it was like, oh gosh, we can't even go there. Um, that's kind of scary.
Well, what you got to do is like they're doing in some of the countries, and I see it in the States at certain times of the day, everybody goes out on their balcony and bangs their pots together to just let everybody know we're all
Oh, I
still
saw
here.
that, right? Yeah, there, and it's all in appreciation for the frontline workers, right? Which I know, I thought
Exactly.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that in Vancouver. I've seen that too, kind of thing. So, which I think is pretty cool. I think there was one in Toronto, and somebody was yelling at them, just shut up. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
be
cool. But
quiet.
it's probably a one-off, right? But yeah, yeah. So not so good. So with, I think by us being proactive in terms of getting moving, trying to get the mindset going, kind of thing. My fear is that when we come out of here, if income has changed, kind of thing, the people that regularly would see you for care, kind of thing, like I'm one, like I come to you monthly for my regular checkups to keep me in check. I always remember the first thing you had said to me, what's your birthday? I'm like, it's the second. You're like, then make your appointment the second of every month, make that commitment to yourself, so you're coming in once a month to keep in check. So don't just come see me when you have an issue, like you're in crisis. Come to me so I can keep you out of crisis. And I was like, little thing in one of the many conversations we had, but it stuck, right? So
Yeah.
it's creating that routine, and that's that self-care. So going forward, when we get back to our normalcy and we're coming back to see you, but what about the ones who now don't have the benefits, and now that they're not going to have it's not going to be in their budget, kind of thing, because maybe they've been laid off, so they don't have benefits anymore,
I
or
know.
maybe cash flow has changed. So I'm all about, how do we, whether we build it into the budget or whether we can't, how do we avoid any issues? And I know I feel like we've talked about it, but I feel like I want to go a little bit
Yeah,
deeper.
it's an extremely difficult because your priorities change, right? Because you want to pay your
Yeah,
rent, you want to feed your children, you want to be able to clothe yourself. It's a crisis that I watch the different newscasts to try to figure it out. And there's been so many things coming across our desk, for everything from the CERB plans, the relief for companies and individuals. But I don't know what the right answer is as far as like, how do we budget out our life? Because that's something that is, it's such a sensitive and a scary topic for people. Like, are they going to look after themselves? Are they going to just feed their kids? Um, it's a very, very, very struggling situation. Even myself in our profession, and I know my friends that are physiotherapists and the dentists, a lot of them are
yeah,
thinking they're not even going to go back to their business. They're not even going to have a business to go back to, because if they were just starting out, they're going month to month, and if they lose a couple of months, it's in trouble. And I got friends who are in the restaurant business, that they go week to week. Their margins are very, very small, and
right.
so they have a grand opening one week and they're shutting down the next week, or they've done $150,000 in renovations. I don't know how we are going to actually come out of this, not just relative to our business, because um, people have benefits, people don't have benefits. It's going to be a tremendously difficult crisis time, because like with the grocery stores, I
Yep,
hear that their margin is 1% and 2% to be profitable. So if their profits go down 5%, they can't operate. And in
right.
businesses like ours, whether it's my friends, the physios, the dentists, the chiros, different people in healthcare, just that is what I'm familiar with. There's not a lot of margin in there. So if you start to try to reduce what you do or reduce your fee structure, now you want to do that out of your heart to help people, but then you can't pay your bills either, because it's not like
Right.
there's a very small margin of profit in
Yeah.
there. You have to see a certain amount of people. So when we were talking about that the other day with one of my associates, and we were saying, how do we come back? We can't, if we come back at 50% of our volume and we want to help people, how do we even pay our staff and our rent? So there is a lot of very difficult decisions and crisis points coming up, because what do you do? Do you go out and do you take a loan to go more in debt over the next couple of years? Do you go out and they say, well, you can get $100,000 loan, you get the
Right.
loan, you're more in debt than you started, and maybe you can't make enough business to pay your bills. So wow. I know you
It's
asked the question from the point of view of the patient, but from the point of view of the
the
entrepreneur,
owner. Yeah.
it's difficult to determine, do you go back? How do you go back? And this depends how long it happens. If this clears up, don't mean it in a bad way, but if we're able
Nope.
to go back and work within the next month, I think most people will be good. But if this prolongs another month after that, I read an article a while ago that said most Canadians are two weeks away from bankruptcy. And if that's the case, we're all in trouble.
So, well, and then hopefully not, but yes, kind of thing. But at the same token, well, that's where I come in, right? So
Yeah,
in terms
that's
of
your
thankfully,
expertise.
that's my expertise. And thankfully we have the lenders kind of thing that are still active, but of course you have to be actively working kind of thing. But we've got options. Property values as of right now, they're staying steady kind of thing. We're not seeing a decrease. Like I've actually had 3 clients last week purchase homes.
Nice.
So they are in two of the properties actually got beat out kind of thing in competition. So it's a much smaller scale, but people still have to move. So with that, lenders are still doing the refinances. We're still doing the equity takeouts. People are now we're going to start seeing downsizing. And I do have one client that sold, I think it was 550, and now they're purchasing at 330. So they're doing the financial downsize. They're kind of getting ahead of it as well. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of that kind of thing, which will help keep people intact as well for the financial end. And we've also got alternate lenders and private lenders. Like there's different options still. But I guess my concern is always that, okay, so if we don't have benefits, so say that and I know let me backtrack, go to DeFasco. They've actually done, I think they have let their seasonal workers or the contract workers, they just got laid off. I think management has taken a decrease in their salaries. And I think the regular employees, I believe, is still okay, but we know what's potentially going to happen is it's going to be the benefits, right? Because that's the extras that they might not have. So it's like, I guess it's us being proactive with health is that maybe if we just have to see you maybe once every 3 months and we have to pay for it out of pocket as opposed to benefits, as opposed to coming regularly. So it's like, how do we keep ourselves healthy and in check so that way we're not getting into that status, like into the
Absolutely. Well,
into the pain to come see you, right? Does that lead into Shield?
That's like the perfect. I'm going to jump in here because we didn't
Awesome.
set it up, but that's exactly what we have to do. So we have a Shield program, and
Yep.
this is shameless marketing, but this actually works. We have over here. You can control your life based on your own terms, and the things that decrease stress, that get you prepared for a life of productivity and performance and resilience, is basically our Shield program. And it's something that we give away. And so if people could, and they can, we give it all away. We do it for groups, organizations, for our patients. People have told me I should make it private and sell it, but I don't want to do that. I want to have it available for people. So basically the Shield program allows you to understand your physiology, understand how to be well, and there are just basic, simple things that you can implement, and we teach you how to do it. If you go to our website, www.pfchiro100.com or ParamountFamilyChiropractic.com, and you go under patient forms, it's all sitting there as an outline. Like we do the classes, we do the courses. Like I said, we do it for Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, HR, Chamber of Commerce, all these different things. Mohawk. And so what we want to do is teach people the 6 components that make you healthy. And so they're all basically itemized. What we do is, I'll go through them fairly briefly here.
Yeah.
First one we talked about a while ago is sleeping. Sleeping is people neglect their sleep. They think it's a badge of honor to get by on 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep. Well, they get by, but they're definitely not optimal. That's the time when your body repairs and regenerates itself. And as you mentioned earlier, Gail, the timing of your sleep is important. If you're asleep by 10, 11 o'clock and you're going to get up at 5 or 6 in the morning, your body will produce growth hormone and will release it into your body. But if you're not asleep between 12 and 2, your body just won't get that growth hormone, and you'll feel tired and listless and more prone to infection, more prone to all kinds of illnesses. So you got to get to sleep at the right time. Be like a farmer. Get to bed early, get up early. Like we have a lot of professional athletes, and they come in, and so what happens is they party like rock stars in the summertime when they're away from their leagues, but they go to bed early. They're at bed 9, 10, and then they get up in the morning. They've been told, and they understand the value of that sleep. So sleep is really, really, really important, and it's within your control. Like we used to, we have a while ago, they used to stay up and watch the Late Show, not the Late Show, the Tonight Show, back with, this is how long ago it was, Jay Leno. They retired.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
About 6, 8 months, they had started to get more tired and they started to gain weight and weren't feeling good. And I said, what do you do? Well, we stay up every night and watch Jay Leno. I said, okay, this is what you're going to do. Set your old VCR up, record it and watch it in the morning and go to bed earlier. And without doing any other lifestyle changes, within a month or two, they came back to normal. So just that extra 2 or 3 hours of staying up at night was hurting them. And when they didn't, they just felt that much better. So sleep is so easy to do, and you really can't get by without it. It's just an absolute essential for your body.
Agreed. Agreed.
So that, and people have, the key thing is what happens is what we do is we wear our sunglasses outside all day in the sun, and we look at our phones all night before we go to bed, which actually is the opposite. You want your brain to see the sunlight. In the daytime, when it gets dark, you want to go to sleep, but you're looking at your phone before bed or your iPad, and that messes up your sleep. It wakes you up. So we teach people sleep hygiene, the sleep routines, how to get to bed, how to have the right temperature, what not to have in your room, so that you can actually make sleep a fun, enjoyable thing for your body so that you wake up energized. So that's one of the programs that we teach. The second thing is,
I didn't know there was a certain temperature. Let me backtrack there.
Cooler for sure.
Oh, I prefer, I've always done that. Okay, so there's
a cooler room. Okay. Like I block the vent in my room and leave the window open a little bit. So when you can have a little bit cooler, your body sleeps better and it's just way better for you. Like having that vent blowing all night is not good too. And then if you can get all the electronics out of your room, except for maybe your alarm clock, that seems to be a big difference for people as well. And then, really, enjoy sleep. Sleep is not a bad thing. It's what your body needs. It's like, who would never not plug their phone in at night, and then after a while it will wear down. So what you're doing is you're basically plugging your body in. Second thing we talk about is—
just got a quick question about sleep, actually.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there. So I'm sleeping regularly between 8 and 9 hours a night, but I'm still waking up exhausted. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, well, let's go through the other elements to see how we're doing.
Okay, perfect.
Because the number one cause of fatigue other than sleep is the next one, which is hydration.
Gotcha. Okay.
So regular pure old water. So what happens, you want your brain to be like a nice plump grape, not shriveled up like a little raisin. And what happens is most of us are doing too much coffee, too much other substances or booze.
Like,
or tea
well,
or
you know what, I think most people are doing that more so. Like, I even joked around saying I'm actually having a glass of wine at night. I don't always have a glass of wine at night, but I've been doing it. So I'm just one person out of everybody, right? So so it's flipping, I think, back over to the teas, like the herbal teas or decaf teas, maybe, and water.
Yeah, still those are actually dehydrating though, unfortunately, even though they're good for you, and there's health benefits to those. What we want to try to do is understand that what 60, 70, 80% of your body is water. And some of the other parts of your body are muscle water, so it's in there. What we want to do is think of, you want to try to take a number that they're all over the place, but we've done over 1,000 body composition tests on people, which measures your water, your fat, your muscle, and we've yet to see somebody who's optimally hydrated on their first test, even though they're told to drink more water. So a rule of thumb would be whatever your body weight is. Let's say you're a 160-pound guy. You want to take your weight in pounds, divide by 2, and that's how many ounces of water you'd want to drink in a daytime. And so, so that'd be like 80 ounces. It sounds like a lot at the start, but if you, like I said, if you have that liter first thing in the morning and you have a little bit more through the day, I don't get optimally hydrated every day. In fact, I usually don't. But if I don't have that liter first thing in the morning, by about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm struggling and I'm thinking I might be hungry. I'm looking for a coffee. And basically what I am is I'm just dehydrated. You just don't feel good. We all want to look nice. So the Dermatological Society in the States came out a couple of years ago and said the real reason if you want to look good isn't to put cream on your dead skin, just drink more water. So if you want to look better and have more energy, drink more water. In fact, it shows that a 2 to 4% decrease in hydration in an athlete produces a 20% drop in performance. So we really don't want that. Here's some water right here.
Really? I was gonna say, is that coffee?
No, this one's the water.
There's the coffee. There you go. So you got 2 cups. Okay, yeah. See, and I brought my water down.
See?
So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Because I have my coffee. Yeah.
Like most problems, fatigue, constipation, digestive issues, concentration issues, muscle, they're all dehydration. So if you can get some sleep and you drink some water, the right amount of water, and get it into your body, Well, there's nothing wrong with having a coffee. The only problem, I guess, is that for every cup of coffee, tea, or pop or wine that you have, you need an equal volume to be zero. And that's the hard part.
Gotcha.
So you got to
Okay.
kind of catch up with that. So that's important.
Okay.
The next most important thing, well, probably in these times are even more important, is what we call involvement or interactions with other people. So there's three types of relationships. You get the ones, your work relationships, your family relationships, and then there's the social relationships. But what we really got to do right now is to reach out to people, reach out, talk to people, because relationships are the fabric of our society. It's what makes us have, satisfaction, being around people. Like you wouldn't want to go to, like they're talking about having sports games like the Super Bowl with no fans. I mean, what kind of experience is that? You want to be around other people. Humans, whether it's dealing with family members, grandparents, your children, your intimate friends. You need that interaction. That's just such a critical thing. So the other thing we want to do with that is limit social media a little bit too. That's where getting too much of that. Don't be on the news every 5 minutes listening to COVID talk. Unfortunately,
that's one of the biggest. That's a big issue right now. I think it's playing a lot of havoc on people too, right? Is because they're constantly hearing all the negative, whereas we need to focus, as we know. But there's so much positive to come out of this negative at the same time that I think that's the mind shift, right? That's the mindfulness, and that's where we have to go back to gratitude.
Absolutely. And so the relationships, the interactions, staying in contact, that's probably right now one of the most important things. Like we said earlier, with children, with relatives, with your parents, with your friends. I just make a list of people, and I go into work that I think about, and I just call them and say, "How you doing?" or "What's going on?" And they go, "Why are you calling me?" I said, "Just making sure you're okay."
You're okay. And I've been doing that. I think we talked about that as well. This is the time in our business that we're always on reactive mode. So to be proactive and reach out to clients and actually have these conversations, and it's just to make sure they're okay. Or do they have any questions and they maybe have shame in asking, because it's like, well, I don't want to look like an idiot, or I don't want, or you know what I mean? It's like, so the fact that we can be proactive and reach out to people to make sure they're okay. You're doing the same thing that I am, which is awesome.
Yeah, because people don't just work with us or for us. Like you have a relationship with people, and I know that based on the way that you and I view the people that we work with, we're blessed to be able to help people, and we want to make sure that they're good. And they just, like, it's weird. People come into mind when I'm driving or at home or whatever, and I mark their name down on my phone. And I go in and say, "How you doing? How you doing?" So if I haven't got to you, I'm sorry, but
I haven't thought about it. No, I'm kidding. No, but it's true though, right? Certain times I'm the same thing. There was a book a realtor gave me a couple of years ago. It's called Promptings, and it's when you think of somebody, there's generally a reason. And I've had that quite a few times. I've reached out and they were like, "Oh my gosh," I'm like, "I was just thinking about you." Yeah, so obviously there was an energetic thing there too, right? So yeah, or they need you at that time, and you just instinctively know. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and it nourishes both people. You're not draining yourself when you talk to somebody. Both people elevate the whole thing. One of my favorite quotes is, "If you're feeling down, what's the best thing you can do?" And that's to encourage somebody else.
Right.
So when you do that, that picks you up too. And the other thing is, you got to remind yourself a little bit from day to day, even though this seems endless, that this is temporary. This whole scenario.
Totally.
It's gonna come to some kind of a resolution. We're gonna understand this better. And have some hope that things are going to be, it's going to settle down. Now, what else do we got to do? We got to do a little bit of exercise, right?
Exercise. We're on E. Exactly.
So exercise, people have the wrong idea. When I want people to exercise, all I want them to do is a couple things. I want them to go for a walk for about 20-25 minutes. After you're walking for 5 minutes, walk like you're late for 1 minute, like you got to get to an appointment, you're getting somewhere. So you got 4 or 5 minutes of your walking along, and then you go pretty good, but now don't break into a run, but go walk as fast as you can for a minute. Then 4 or 5 minutes you walk normal, then go fast as you can for a minute, and do that 4 or 5 times over a 25-minute period. That changes your physiology. That changes your physiology for the next 24 hours. It changes your growth hormone. It changes your stress hormones. Like going for a nice leisurely walk with your puppy is a good thing for your mental health. But if you want to get a little bit of a training effect, it's only about 25 minutes, and that interval of high and low, it's amazing how well that functions to help your body get stronger. It's really, really important to do that. And it's just as easy. And so you don't need to go an hour. We always want people 20-25 minutes is enough. More than that is wasting time.
And didn't you and I talk about one point, even if you can't, for like say in a regular day, even if you can't do it half an hour, do it like three 10-minute increments, right? Like 10 minutes, like morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, it actually, there was a really good program on CBC a while ago showing that. So if you do your 10,000 steps slowly, or just your 10,000 steps in the day, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, it does good. But if you did 3 times 10 minutes, which only made about 3,000 steps, but you did them with a little bit of vim and vigor, it had a way better effect on you. So yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to get that heart rate up a little bit, and get that going. So really important. We talk about posture.
Would that be, what about like doing it on a treadmill?
Absolutely, you can do it on
same kind of effect, right? Yeah.
Treadmill, elliptical. I use a rebounder. Anything that does that up and down, up and down, up and down. So a lot of people with their knees or their back, they can't do certain things. So the elliptical is a good one for some people. The rebounder is not a good thing for some people. So it's just to get moving in a quick hit. So like little spikes 2 or 3 times, 5 times over a 25-minute period. So that speeding up and slowing down is really good for you. Like there was an article come out a few years ago where if you just did 5 100-meter sprints, it would be really good. Well, people aren't ready to do 5 100-meter sprints, so they were coming in. They were, don't do that. Well, they said it would work. Yeah, it'll work, but it's going to kill you right now. Don't do that right off the bat, because I was shocked I had people coming in hurting from that, because there was some article that came out. And, yeah, it makes sense, but don't do that first day.
Okay, build up, right? Like anything, it doesn't have, everything is change of routine. And it's change, like you got to start somewhere, but it's not, there's like an end result, right? It's the same thing of buying a house. It's like you want to buy a house, but you got to start saving, or you got to start paying things off. You got to put a plan in place. It's the exact same scenario.
Absolutely. The other thing we always got to talk about is we like to talk about making sure that you're eating living food, or food that's alive. If your grandma would recognize it, if it's got a peel or a rind or a skin on it, that might be good for you. And, eating well, because right now it's so easy to get into the comfort foods. I saw the other day on the news, they were talking about, all the frozen pizzas are gone, all the chips are gone, all the pop is gone, and everything in the produce section was still full. So, I mean,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So like
the other thing, I was talking to somebody, and they're buying more frozen veggies and canned veggies. So now, to avoid going to the grocery store, like to avoid exposure, right? So, as opposed to fresh produce, like I think we're just kind of changing that up a little bit. Or some people are starting veggie gardens now. So that's a few things that I've seen as well, right? In their backyards, they're actually building a place to do vegetable gardens now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Kobe and I are going to be building a little raised garden out in the backyard this summer. That's one of our plans. So, but my freezer is full of a whole bunch of frozen vegetables for sure.
Right.
In fact, some days I'll buy my own, and I'll just cut them up and put them in giant Ziploc bags. But I'll buy them as well. There's nothing wrong with that. And I steam them up, and they're fantastic. We'll get a little olive oil on there, salt and pepper, and I'll roast sweet potatoes, turnips, and carrots in a big thing in the oven, and then I'll do all the vegetables on top, and then I've got bowls in the fridge. So all I got to do, if I come home at lunch or I want to do something, to scoop of this, scoop of that, some olive oil, salt and pepper on top. I'm ready in like 2 minutes. Lunch is ready. Awesome. And it's super healthy, super easy. And I cook that twice a week and have it ahead of time. So it's really, really good.
And that was one of the things I know I had written down. It was all about meal prepping. Right? Like that was part of the big thing, to keep in routine again, kind of thing. So and that relates back to even budgeting kind of thing. So that way it's like, put a budget in place now kind of thing. And now some people are forced to, that they've thought about it before, but now as things change, they have to figure out a budget. So now it's like now having a food budget. So now this is where you actually have to meal plan and then meal prep, right? So there's like, I find that that's coming into play as well.
Well, it's actually less expensive to do your meal planning, because then you get everything organized and you're not just grabbing at things, or you're not just ordering in. Like you can, you order in, I'm not going to pick on the chicken place, but we ordered one in a few weeks ago. Like you're spending $40 for a chicken and some fries and 3 or 4 buns, and you can buy an awful lot of really healthy food for $40.
For $40 to feed the bunch of you. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can do a lot of things, and I like to get things like that too. But really, my basic stuff through the week is I'll meal prep twice a week, and then I'm into the fridge and out, and I can make meals. And so it takes me 2 days 2 evenings to get that done, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. But then the rest of the week, it's so easy, and I'm not
It's
dipping into the other little snacky things. I'm not grabbing. Well, I just try not to buy those things. That's important. They say you are what
well,
you
that's
eat.
key too, right? Yes, yes.
You're not what you don't. You are what you eat. You are what you buy. So,
I like that. There you go. Yes,
so if I don't buy those things, they don't call my
then you
name from the
can't.
other room.
Right, right.
But they know my name, which is really, really bad.
Come here.
Some of the things also, what happens is you want to have a really good diet, but there's also certain supplements that you just can't really get enough in the way our body works.
So glad you
Whatnot.
brought that up, because I was going to bring that up too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we always want people, because different medications and different health conditions have different requirements. So like if somebody's on a blood thinner and they start taking omega-3, it's not going to be a good thing for them. So we always tell people, check with your doctor, check with your pharmacist, and we go over very specifically in their case to make sure that we're not going to make somebody or encourage somebody to take something that could have an adverse effect. But basic things like omega-3 are so important, make up most of the weight of your brain. It's an anti-inflammatory. It'll help you live longer. It's a good thing. So we usually recommend omega-3s. Vitamin D3 is by getting so much press right now because of the situation that we're in, because it helps your body to be stronger. And wintertime with no daylight, no sunlight. So vitamin D3 would be produced in your own body if you could get out in the sun for half an hour or more every day, but not just your face. You have to get out there in your bikini or your gym shorts and get some sun on your body, because countries who have more sunlight, they have less illness. It's what it is. So vitamin D3 is a critical one. And I looked in the stores when I was in there about 3 or 4 weeks ago, because some people asked me, and we actually ran out in the office. We just got a giant shipment in the other day. And so we'll have that just for people, because I think it's one of the most important. We use a spray under your tongue. Vitamin D is very strong for resilience, for health, for brain health, immunity. It's a fantastic one. The other one we really like is magnesium. So the top 3 or 4 that we do is omega-3, vitamin D3, magnesium, and then probiotics. Try to get your digestive system going. Those are critical. There's always, people ask me about different supplements, but if you don't have the basic ones in, there's no point. And if you're taking medications and you don't have omega-3 and enough water and the magnesium and the D3, your medications won't do the job that they're supposed to do. So you got to make sure that you have the basic requirements, and that's what we talk about all the way through our practice. What are the requirements of good health? And so that's what we've been running through. You got to get your sleep, you got to get your hydration, you got to have family connections, you need a little bit of exercise, you got to have some food. And then the one that we talked about earlier is just, the ability to plan and have that mindfulness and to implement into your life all those critical things. So by doing that, then you have a chance. So back to the shameless plug here, we actually give away these cards. So that there's 6 different elements to the Shield program. So you get a card, and each day that you try to implement, and we know that we want people to implement over time, not all at once. It's overwhelming. It's way too much.
For sure.
We give you the information. So let's say today you got your decent sleep, you drank your water, and you called grandma and made a date with your spouse. So you get to color in the little circles that you have there.
Oh, and there it is. Yep.
At the end of the week, what happens is you get a total. The idea is to see how you're doing, and we'll help you to score your program and see where you're at. So over a 4-week period, you get to figure out how you're doing. Some people like to do this first thing in the morning to plan their day. Some people like to do it at the end of the day and see what they did. But it's your own personal accountability to see how you're doing, because what happens, we're so busy and there's so much going on that you might be good for a day or two, then you forget. And this is a business card. It fits in your wallet, fits in your purse, goes anywhere. Some people slide it in the back of their phone. They have these little jackets on there, and then they get to see how they're doing. And we encourage and teach people how to implement different elements over time, not overnight. And so they do that over time, they find, wow, I'm sleeping better, I feel better, I've got more energy, this is working. And it's a nice little reminder to help people to do well. So the idea isn't to be perfect. The idea is just to be a little bit better than you used to be, so that as your body and your health comes along, these things become second nature. And then now you can implement another element when you're ready, or when it's appropriate. And then you start to get that ball rolling, and people see tremendous changes. So, the first month is sometimes a struggle. They go, oh, I did it for the first week and missed out. But after a while, they start to see that. And then the remarkable changes in memory, in ability, in fatigue, in mood change, especially. People go, I'm not as irritable anymore. My headaches have gone down. My allergies aren't as bad. You know, my husband or my wife said I'm a nicer person lately, you know, so like,
People like them, yeah. But
yeah,
but it's changing from the subconscious to the conscious. So you're changing the mind, right? Because we're also auto programmed. Like we just do what's familiar and for what we've always done. And so to actually have something to help change the mindset kind of thing, that's awesome. And it's not on an app, it's not technology. Like it's actually old school kind of thing, right? Which is pretty cool too.
yeah, we've been thinking about going the other way.
As I say that, yeah.
But the thing is, it's better with a card because it gets you to slow down and pick up a
Yes.
pen or a pencil and do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've actually thought that would be. We said, oh, one of my patients said, we'll make an app for you. And I'm going, I don't know that I want that, because what's going to happen when you go to the app, then you're going to want to jump around to all the other things that are in there. So the old school
That
is
we always
exactly
do.
what you
Yeah.
said, Gail. And it's
Yeah.
really neat because yeah, we do get that a lot from people. You know, it's like, I've been a nicer person lately, or I just feel better. It's amazing. So it's that little bit of accountability, but it's extremely successful. So if you want to be well on your own terms, which is what we want to stress to people, you have
Correct.
full control over these elements. They're 100%. So we talk about modifiable risks in our health. There's a lot of things that we have. These are totally under your control. And
Yeah.
these are the only way to really get yourself healthy. There's no potion, there's no pill, there's no treatment, there's no nothing other than you looking after your brain and your body and your health proactively through a system that you can trust. That's the hard part for most people.
And that works for you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
because
everybody,
what do they say? What do they say? It takes 3 weeks to break a habit. And is it 4 weeks to create it?
yeah, I think the first
Which
thing
is like your 4-week plan, right?
yep, but you have to make that decision though too. And that's the hardest part for most people, is they get conflicting advice. They will have
Correct.
somebody say, well, don't eat this, only eat that. You have to do this, you have to do that. So it's so confusing if you watch different programs on TV. One day they will say one thing, the same exact program says the opposite thing the next day. So in structuring and building the Shield program, we wanted to make sure that every element would be applicable, would be effective, and not confusing. We don't want confusion. We want people to know what's going on and what are the basic requirements of good health. And these are not changeable. These are not going to change in 50 years or 100 years. If you meet these basic requirements on a regular basis, you will definitely have better health. You'll be stronger. Your resilience will be better, and you'll be more productive. And it's for a better life. But we got to do this now, because basically what we're seeing is that people who aren't following a program like this or aren't optimally healthy are the ones that are having the greatest difficulty in this crisis that we're in. So we have to get this as a wake-up call to really take advantage of what we know and apply it, and quit normalizing what we've been doing before.
Absolutely. Because I think that's what we've all done, right?
Yep. It's so easy. You know, we struggle with where we're at, and so many people are just letting themselves get by. But really, if we want, it's important because people count on us. Our children count on us, our parents
Yes.
count on us, people around us. And if we're not healthy, or we're taken out by what's going on now, that would be just so tragic. And we need to be well to have a legacy to enjoy, because it's so important to not just feel well, but to have those relationships, for a long period of time. And it's within our control to turn this thing around, because that's been the only thing that's been shown to be effective. The article in the British Medical Journal said basically it's the modifiable risk factors that are determining who's surviving and who's not. And so we need to really take advantage of the knowledge that we have and start applying it today, not as a New Year's resolution, not next week, not next month. We need to really think about what we're doing with our health and change it. And we're trying to, help offer solutions so that people can be empowered to have better health and to really thrive. And because this is not the last crisis that's going to come around. There's going to be more and more and more of these in years to come. And with the better work, the stronger that we are, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially, which is your strength, Gail, to help people be prepared and have a plan that works, is so critical.
Right. And I think it's I keep going back to mindset, but it's that law of attraction, right? So if you feel fear kind of thing, you attract fear kind of thing, because that's the energy that you're putting out. So if you're constantly worried that you know, like if that you're not going to have, or if you do this, you're going to hurt your back. Well, if that's your mindset, then you're going to hurt your back, right? So it's like, because that's what you're bringing in. Whereas if you change the thought process, and it's now more of that positive of, you know what, no, I'm good. I'm going to strengthen my back. I'm not going to hurt it. And that's how that's what's going to happen, right? That's for one example, but that is the whole law of attraction kind of thing. The fear is what we actually bring to ourselves, right? So it's the fear of money. So I try to get people not to think about it in terms of budgeting. It's like, have 2 bank accounts, you know, one for all your fixed expenses, so that way you don't even worry about it. Like, you just know that you're covered, and it's your extra ordinary expenses, like your lifestyle, right? Like groceries, entertainment, and gas and such. And then that is what you have more control over, but that's not stressful kind of thing. So that's where we're trying to go here. Whereas I've generally tried to do that with clients with budgeting. Now it's a little harder because we can't use cash kind of thing. So now it's, you know what, let's, and we're in a tap society that people don't pay attention to budget. So it's changing the thought process and actually not going in autopilot kind of thing, whether it's for health or it's for finances, but it's actually being conscious and writing it down. The power of the pen is huge kind of thing, right? I'm a huge believer in that. I've heard it over the years, and now I get it. So whether that's through a budget that you're writing out, whether that is through journaling, whether that is through putting a plan in place, like gratitude journals, I'm a big believer in the pen. Write it down, start your day off that way, right? And start your day off with purpose. Otherwise the day's going to run you. So if that means setting out your work clothes or your running shoes at beside your bed, then that's what you do, right? It's putting that in motion. So I think that's to do with everything.
Yeah, to not be helpless. You're in charge of you, you know? Like,
yes.
I write everything out too.
See?
Because
right? I do too.
it's having some control over your environment, having some control over your health. We've been, in a way, led to believe that it's somebody else's responsibility to look after us. You know, it's the chiro, it's the doctor, it's the dentist, it's the physio, it's the banker. Well, you know what? We have control over our destiny to a certain degree too. We control what we think, what we put into our mind, what we put into our body, what we put into our shopping cart, what activities we do. And what we got to do is back off on some of the things that are wasting our time, and give people the confidence that their health and their life is in their hands. And that's what we want to do. We want to empower people to know that, look, if you do these things, you change those modifiable risk factors, which are 9 out of the 10 things that kill us, and you can totally turn the ship around on your own with a little bit of guidance and consistency, whether it's health, whether it's budget. It's just a matter of doing things over time. It's like, I always do the silly example of, you're in grade 3 in school, and you get a bean and a little styrofoam cup. You put the bean in the cup, and you put water on it, and you put it by the window, and you can do whatever you want. But if you just do the right things, that bean will germinate, that bean will come up, and you'll be fine. So you just have to start putting the right seeds in your mind, follow through, water your thoughts, or your exercise, or your shield program, or your budget, and things will happen. You have to have that confidence. Like you say, fear is not what we want to be dealing. We want to be dealing with hope, positivity, and not like positive, like, you know, in a fake way, but really, if you do the right things, your body, your finances, your health will improve. And there's no question. We see it all the time. It's just consistency and some trust and being a little bit better than you used to be. And then those things happen in a very positive way. And it's so nice to see when people catch on and do it, and then they're empowered. They're empowered. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to feel it. Like, you can't just talk it. Like, you have to believe it, right? Because it's, what was the one thing I heard? It's like the mind, motivation only takes you so far, but when you believe it and you understand it and it becomes who you are, that's when you see the change too, right?
Well, it's like faith and fear, right? They're both, you have to believe in something you can't see. So you get to make a choice.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
I love that. Yeah, that was awesome.
Awesome.
And so which reminds me of that screenshot I had taken. We talked about it again last week. I just looked it up again. It's like taking a medication and thinking you're healthy is like getting a loan and thinking you're rich.
Exactly.
It's like it just doesn't work that way, right? So it's a matter of, you got to put in the effort, you got to put in the time and the energy for yourself, because we're going into different times where it's the ownership. I feel like we're almost going back like old school, like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm actually, excited about that. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, just, I don't, like what we're going through, obviously, but I think there's so much good that's going to come out of this that I'm excited for all the good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the thing is, medications are, like, sometimes people talk about it. I think medications are fantastic. But what happens is,
Absolutely.
if you do all, because I've got my mom, my dad. I mean, I got so many people that are alive thanks to all of those things. But things,
Correct.
if you're doing the Shield program and you do have a crisis or you do require medications, and then what happens is your body will be able to process and get the right result from those medications so that you can benefit from it. And if you're taking medications, take them properly. But if you give the basic garden of your body to be healthy, then when you do those medications, they will work as intended. But if you're not healthier, quote, as you can be, when you do take that, then it won't be as effective. So absolutely take care of yourself so that whatever you were taking can do its job effectively the way it was designed.
Absolutely. And great feedback. Actually looking for your website again, kind of thing. So yeah, because you do, I'm fortunate. I see you and I chat about this stuff all the time. Every time I see you, it's not just a visit. Like, we go off into a million different tangents. So I get access to you all the time. But for the people that don't come to see you, kind of thing, right now, you've got a huge amount of information on your website, which I do know. Do you have 2 sites, did you say?
Well,
Or do you just have the one?
Either one will get you to
They
the
link
site.
into the same thing. That's what I thought.
Yeah, they'll both go.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
either Paramount Family Chiropractic.com or PF Chiro, Peter Frank Chiro, the number 100.com. And for information, there's so many articles on there. There's a lot of videos, but specifically for the Shield program, if you look under Patient Hub, under forms, there's a whole section in there on an outline of the Shield program. So I'll just go right in it right now. So
now, I know you and I talked about the 100-year lifestyle as well. Like, we've had conversations about that. I actually, if you're open to that, I wouldn't mind us doing this again, because I've totally enjoyed this, but I'd really like us to talk a little bit more about that as well. Because I think we're saying is the generation's changing. Like, people are living longer, but they're not prepared for it, whether it's financially or based on health. Right. So I think that's something I'd really like us to tap into as well.
Yeah, people are getting blindsided by their longevity, financially, socially, health-wise, because my grandma, she lived to be 100, and her life expectancy was supposed to be mid-60s. So when you get blindsided by your longevity, it can be very, very scary. So yeah, absolutely, would love to have that discussion. That's at least an hour in and of itself, because we're getting blindsided, and we look at how did our grandparents age, how are our families aging, and they say that centenarians are the fastest growing segment of our population, growing at 8% per year.
Really?
So they're going to need a lot of Gail's financial help to make sure.
Right. And hey, that's what we're here for, right? Exactly. And see, that'll tie into what we talk about that as well, like in terms of reverse mortgages and how do people, especially with if they're investments and such. Like, I've actually got a financial planner joining me next week. We're going to talk about the markets, because I know a lot of people's portfolios have actually decreased, kind of thing, based on how the market is and what's your timeline to get that back. So we're talking about the financial piece next week. But this was awesome. This was something I am so glad we finally did this. We have talked about it forever. Did we talk about the D in Shield? Did we say the D? Did we get sidetracked like we usually do?
The D is the, let me just.
Doing?
We talked about it at the start. So basically the D is the ability to provide something as expected. So that was where we talked about time management, the meditation skills, the stress reduction activities. So the delivery was able to actually, most people, that was one thing that we didn't do. Most people are, sometimes they're stressed, not because they have too much, they just have too many things on their hard drive in their mind. So we have a structure where when something comes across your desk, you go, I want to do it, I want to defer it, I want to delegate it or discard it. So what happens, you get too many things. It's like that old show when I was a kid. I remember watching Ed Sullivan, and this guy had these plates and he was spinning them on the sticks, and he got all 7 of them going, and that's the way we're running our lives. So it was one of the books by David Allen that we like, called Getting Things Done, that we recommend as well. So teaching people how to get some of the stuff off their hard drive. They have too many projects going at once, and their desk is all stacked up and none of their projects are finished. So look at each one and either get it done, defer it, discard it, or just delegate it to somebody else so that you can actually get back to what you're doing. So that was one of the aspects of the deliver. The other was there are two different parts: meditation skills and stress reduction activities. And
Awesome.
so like the heart math, the muse, the journaling, all those things. So if you can get your mental state where it needs to be and get some planning done to get some of the stuff off your mental hard drive so you can actually concentrate on the right things. So the delivering part was the ability to actually provide what you wanted. So we got everything set up. Now we have to make sure that our mind and our focus is on what we want to do, and we clear off what we don't want to be involved in, and we really get involved in centering ourselves and being healthy. So yeah, that's the tie-in of everything.
That's the yes, kind of. We did start with the D, didn't we? I didn't realize we had done that. So that's awesome. But yeah, it's all wrapped into one, like health and wealth, right? It is literally, it is all the common denominator, and it's just how we learn off of that. And I think it's at this point, sometimes people just don't know where to begin. And I think having access to your website with the Shield kind of thing, reaching out to me, I've been doing more of these webinars as well, just to give people more access to information, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know at the end of the day, right?
Well,
and there's so much information overload, and it's like, where do you begin? So this was amazing.
I'm going to do one more thing.
Okay.
What happens is we offer this program to churches, organizations, clubs, and groups. So if somebody wants to have us come out and do the program, we're more than willing to do that, and we do that. There's an overview of the information on the website, but if anybody wants us to come and do the program, we're going to come out, we're going to give you the cards, we're going to give you the information. Some companies want it as a lunch and learn on each segment. Other people want an overview. We give it out. We have a little binder that we give you with the information. It's free, so it's not like, usually what we'll do is we'll do it 2 Mondays a month in the office. So if you want to do that, you can sign up. There's no charge. We usually limit it to 12 people each time so it can be interactive. We're here to help, and we need to help, and we love doing it. We see the changes in people, and it's one thing that we love doing. So it's not, you don't have to try to come up with this yourself. We're going to give you and encourage you and help you each step of the way. So if people are interested, you can contact our office. You can go check it out on the site, and we'd be more than happy to help you. And it's an essential part of what we think we have to give back to the community to help everybody be healthier, stronger, and realize the 100-year part of your life is coming, and you are in charge of your life. Empower people and help improve the quality and the health of our community so that we all can get through this and enjoy our lives a lot better.
And once I get back to my office that I've just moved into and moved back out of, totally, that was the reason behind this office, was to have space to hold the likes of these seminars as well, right? So we'll definitely set up a date to have, I'll invite people in as well, kind of thing, to my location, and we'll figure that out as well. So this was awesome. I've got a great amount of feedback saying how much everyone's appreciated today's session. So thank you. And I knew they would, kind of thing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you. Thanks
so much,
any questions, anybody can always reach out to me, and I can have them connect with you as well, kind
Absolutely.
of thing, through your site or through email, and then we'll go from there.
That's right.
Alrighty. Thanks, Dr. Jerry.
You have a great day. This was wonderful.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that was great. Thanks. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.